What's up, everybody out there? We are back for part two of Pebbles, right? R&B Divas Pebbles. And I ended it by saying, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if Pebbles liked her image as much as I said she did in the first video. I said that because I recall during her second album, For Always, or something like that, or After Always, or something, where I think I recall her saying, I don't know if it was her saying that maybe she didn't have as much control over her image or what she did during that time. If I recall correctly, she was saying something about she was pretty much like, yes, she was a yes person. They wanted her to wear this. She said yes. They wanted her to do this. She said yes. So on and forth. So everything she stopped. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably that she stopped being the yes girl. Oh, excuse me, sorry, the yes person. No, seriously, like. But here's another thing that I want to bring up regarding Pebbles. Let's talk about, I think it was her then husband. I think his name is George Smith. Now, depending on who you talk to and who you ask, this is not dirt. This is music related. It's not, but I'll put that alleged up there. That alleged. I'm trying to think somehow or another. I think that Pebbles' then husband, George Smith, was her manager. I think he managed Bobby Brown, which, if I recall correctly, I don't recall his name coming up in the Bobby Brown movie. It looked like he had his brother doing more of his managing. I'm just saying. And we're talking about around, or maybe, take that back, maybe Bobby Brown's brother was the business manager in the movie and not the manager of his career. Either way, if I'm not mistaken, I think Pebbles' then husband was her manager, Bobby Brown's manager, and the group Body's manager on MCA Records. I think he managed quite a few artists on MCA Records, her husband. I'm just saying, it's just what it is. I'm bringing that up because I don't think most people talk about that. And when I was talking about how what I appreciated about Pebbles is the fact that, when you open up the album cover, you knew that, again, she was very much involved. She just wasn't a pretty face. Another, good looking, diva, if you will, that she knew what she was doing. But here's the thing, when I think I always wondered why Pebbles did not live up to her second album expectations. Now, I think the Always album that was released in 1990, I think it went gold. I think so. I think it went gold. I don't know. I think it also giving him the benefit. The single was nominated for a Grammy. I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't think the first record in 1987, this record, I don't think won a Grammy or was nominated for a Grammy. Matter of fact, I don't think Pebbles won that Grammy in 1991 either, but still, politics is what I'm getting into. The fact that she was produced by, at this moment in time, LA and Babyface, and she's definitely, involved with LA Reid, like they are together. We might talk about that in a minute. And to see, once again, Pebbles taking over production and songwriting, I definitely looked forward to that in a Pebbles album. I did. The only thing that I was disappointed about with her second album was that we didn't get the Pebbles we got on the first album. We didn't. She looked like she was trying to be more urban, like Whitney Houston. And of course, you just have to know by this point, L.A. Reid and Babyface, not only are they producing Pebbles, at this time, they're also producing Whitney Houston and album. And it looked like they followed the same blueprint it looks like they were probably tasked to give Pebbles and Whitney Houston a more urban type sound, because the albums definitely do sound similar. Like them both though. But it was not the Pebbles that I'm used to. Now, say what you want to say about Pebbles. I mean, I'm just saying it. Like, I'm not, puffing her career up. I was in the times the album was released, so I can definitely vouch for what I'm saying. Pebbles' Girlfriend and Mercedes Boy was definitely all over the place. Like, it was. Like, we were definitely into Pebbles. She was definitely, it was just what it was, So I know that most people probably don't think of Pebbles that way, but I mean, she is. And then when she hooks up with L.A. Reid, and if we're following, her career, I was at the time, then you would know that it was there was a lot of excitement when it was, publicized that LA and Babyface had teamed up to form LaFace Records. And it was like a big to-do thing of like, wait a minute, there's a LaFace Records? Oh, all of these artists they've been working with and having success with? Like, who's going to be on the record company? Like, who is going to be the first artist on LaFace Records? And how is that artist going to perform? Pressure. It really was. I know I was sitting back anticipating, waiting on them to come out. And of course, you all who are aware of history know that group was Damian Dame. And maybe we'll talk about Damian Dame. I'm not going to do that, get sidetracked. But we know that group is Damian Dame. May both of them, they're no longer with us. They both passed on a year after each other. I think Dia first and then Damian second. And I think it was pretty much almost like a year or something like that. But they pretty much had some success in that single exclusivity. It was all over the place. And of course, as you know, with Pebbles and L.A. Reid, Babyface, that whole group, I think they were in Atlanta at this time. I think so. Anyway, moving right along. So, the Always album. I would say this about the Always album. It's definitely an album I hit play and I don't skip any songs on the album. It definitely is. It's definitely pop and R&B mixed together. And I like it. My favorite song on the album would have to be, of course, Always, the title of the second album. And her cousin, Sherelle, oh my gosh, just me. I can't wait until I hear her sing, Baby, Don't Leave Me, Don't Ever Desert Me. I promise my life to you, and what is it? And I'll be there always. Like when Sherelle gets to singing that, it's like, it makes my day. I mean, that's the part of the song you live for. You know what I'm saying? You live for, you wait for, to hear that part in the album on the song. I like it. I like Backyard with Salt and Pepper. Again, it's not, I don't like the production on Always. I like the production on the first record, but I like every song on Always. I just do. I can't explain it. It's just what it is. I don't know. So now let's talk. So I think the sad part, well, I won't say the sad part. I would say the part that really like that's kind of bittersweet in Pebbles' story would be the TLC fiasco and the LA Reid fiasco and how you hear about it over and over and over again. You know, T-Boss, Chili, and what's the other one? Left Eye. You know, of course, they was there to live it. Like they were there, they were involved in it. You know what I'm saying? Like people such as myself, we on the outside looking in, and you know, baby, it was all over the place. I mean, I kid you not. Like it was all over the place. MTV, news, Billboard magazines, like you name it, like it was definitely all over the place. And every time you turned around, you were bombarded with something that Left Eye had done. Or it's not funny, right? But it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, like what is it next? And I can remember just a little bit hearing that even after TLC had, came out. And then all of a sudden it's being publicized that the ladies of TLC, are broke, they're filing for bankruptcy, so on and so forth. And I never looked at it as a smear campaign against, this is just me. People, it looked like in the publications, everything was pointing towards Pebbles. Like I'm just talking about it from my experience and on the outside looking in. That I'm just letting you know because I can just kind of feel sometimes people will come in and say, oh, it's not this, it's not that. Just hear me out. I don't think that most people was focusing on Pebbles. I don't. Like, and when I say focusing on Pebbles, like, even though she got the bad rap, when it was coming out in the media, because LA Reid and Babyface are so high profile, and you have LaFace Records that, people are highly anticipating having success after working with all of these other artists, and they had success with them. We are now looking at how is it possible for LA Reid and Babyface to even have these financial difficulties with these artists? Do you see where I'm going? That's how at least I was looking at it at the time. Even though in publications it was basically said that, well, Pebbles is the reason why, TLC had financial difficulties. I'm just saying. And now in hindsight, looking back, this is just me. Well, I don't know how much Pebbles worked with Toni Braxton. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't show up on album credits that I can remember. And so what I'm saying is that when it happened to Toni Braxton, I mean, that alone to me vindicated Pebbles. me, because if it happened to Toni Braxton, Pebbles doesn't manage Toni Braxton. So it's kind of like this allegedly, I'm just painting a picture. It definitely looks like an LA Reid and a Babyface situation. I'm just saying. Do you see what I'm saying? And somehow or another, it can, power of media, it can be kind of swayed or turned. You can kind of just, think about it. It's interviews. I sit down and have an interview with you, but we can't talk about X, Y, and Z. When I bring this up, because now, if I understand the Toni Braxton story, if I understand correctly, now I wasn't Toni Braxton. I think when she sued them and she won, Pebbles sued and she won. Toni Braxton sued and she won. Now, I don't know. Y'all just help me out with this one now. But if I recall correctly, didn't some of the terms of the agreement was that they couldn't talk about it for about 10 years? That they actually came to an agreement or a settlement or something after 10 years. I was saying to myself, like, well, who cares after 10 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, now it comes out after 10 years or 15, 20 years or whatever the case may be. And now people are talking about nobody cares. I mean, it's pretty much dead in the water. If it comes back up, it's kind of like, oh, well. And I figured that it came up that way because, again, we don't want to, you know what I'm saying, deal with this. Like, it's going to tarnish our image. What happens if people find out we paid her, because, we was ordered to pay? This is just my thoughts. Then if people find out right here, right now, then we might not have people wanting to work with us. We might not be able to sign other artists. So it is a hush-hush thing, and she's thrown under the bus. I'm sorry. Like, I don't... When I say thrown under the bus, I think she's thrown under the bus because she's not high profile. And of course, she's not in the boys club. Well, she was in the boys club, but the boys club was kicking her out of the boys club. And around here, what I say about the boys club is just that, hey, you're not with those men who can snap their finger and move stuff, move things around. I think about that movie, that show, the picture, the story, with TLC. And, well, I've always said to myself, well, allegedly, if Pebbles, you remember I was talking about the husband, I said I might talk about it again, but we're not talking about it like wretchedness. No. Let's just say, word on the street is that Pebbles kind of maneuvered around, like, allegedly, that husband of hers then, who George Smith and so on and so forth. Let's just say Pebbles eased her way into that and eased her way on out of it. You know what I'm saying? It almost looked like she got what she wanted and she went to the next opportunity. I'm just saying that's what it comes out to look like. And so when I've always thought that when Pebbles and LA Reid got together, after the TLC fiasco, I just said to myself, I was like, you're just two of the same people together. So when she really and truly says, girlfriend, how could you let him treat you so bad? Was she surprised? Was Pebbles surprised? I wonder. I mean, that's interesting. If allegedly LA Reid did that, I heard he has a book out. I'm gonna get that book too. I'm gonna read it, see about that book. But I wonder, I mean, he did it, in a roundabout sort of way. Like, this is your wife. You have kids by her. And in the movie, Left Eye, Left Eye or Chilling in the movie, if I'm not mistaken, goes to LA's home, pretty much says they no longer want to work with Pebbles. He's cool with it. And he maneuvers everything out the way. And it's like, now, word on the street is that, of course, Pebbles has said that, well, her intentions were to go to another record company, so on and so forth. And once they found out she had a group, everybody intercepted the deal. And like, oh no, we're gonna have them over here, in our camp, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But this might be a good place to stop because I was about to lead into something else, and I don't want to lead into something else, and I'm trying to stay under 30 minutes. Guess we have a third video. Well, I guess in the third video, we're going to get down to the nit and the grit. I think that's what we have to do. We're going to get into the nit and the grit of this story. Sure. Well, you already know what I was about to say. All right, over here, you already know. We definitely believe in putting our behind where our heart's desires to be. And also remember, whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, I love you, but God loves you best. And on that note, I will see you next video. And until then, you all take care of yourself and stay tuned for part 3 of Pebbles. Girlfriend, how could you let him treat you so bad?